Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Real Estate America's Newsroom. I am your host, Jake Wolfe. It is the 12th of April in the year of our Lord 2022. How hazardous is it to move in the United States of America? Excuse me, but we're going to find out. According to Mortgage News Daily, the average rate on the popular 30-year fixed mortgage just crossed 5.25%. And this is the first time it's crossed that threshold since 2009. So as you guys know that were joining us last Thursday, it was at 5.02%. Now we're up to 5.25. And we're going to go ahead and talk about all of this stuff. Inflation has hit a 40-year high. We are sitting at 8.5%, ladies and gentlemen. What is a non-judicial foreclosure? What is happening in the state of California? We're going to visit with Miss Ashley Chapman, and she's going to break down all of these things and what you can expect possibly if you do end up getting behind maybe 30 days or 60 days on your mortgage. And ladies and gentlemen, you're going to want to stick around because we are taking on climate change here in Real Estate America's Newsroom. So we're going to be visiting with Miss Coni Myers, prior FEMA advisor and CKM Solutions principal. We're going to go ahead and talk about climate change, that agenda, what is it, and how it's affecting people in the housing market. And so you're going to absolutely want to stick around. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. We're getting ready to talk about global warming, believe it or not. It is a very controversial topic. It has been controversial for a long time, and that's probably because it's been on some of the tongues of our politicians, and we've seen this for the last decade plus, right? And we've seen new data coming out. We're able to track things. Technology is advancing. But we're going to talk about global warming and the housing market, and we're going to bring in Miss Coni Myers again. Hello, Miss Coni. How are you today?
I am fabulous. How are you, Jake?
I'm well, ma'am. Thank you again for joining us. For those of you that don't know Miss Coni Myers, Connie's a former FEMA advisor for many, many years and one of the principals at CKM Solutions, and is very well versed to go ahead and talk about this. So, Miss Myers, you and I were talking here a couple weeks ago regarding the amount of homes that were damaged from, let's just say, tornadoes across the United States of America. We were also talking about low water levels in some parts of the states and wildfires happening and rolling blackouts in California's and additional hurricanes. We can't deny that this is actually happening, right? Because we go through it as humans. So talk to us about what you are seeing or have seen and the amount of damage done to the homes in the United States of America because of it.
Well, all we have to do is look at the last couple of weeks of what happened in the Southeast and the Midwest when it came to tornadoes. There was a 4-day period that there were 267 tornadoes that came through. And that is, it's unfortunate, but it used to be there was Tornado Alley. And yes, the Southeast would have some, especially this time of year, April, May, June, they would have a little bit of increase in tornadoes. But there was a tornado and a wildfire in Florida in January, which is really unheard of. Usually the slow months for federally declared disasters are January, February, and March. You'll have some winter storms. You might have some tornado activity, that sort of thing. But this year we've already had 22 declared disasters that are, and those are $1 billion or more. So it's been pretty active already. And yes, last year we had 1 out of 10 homes in the United States, this is according to CoreLogic, that were damaged or destroyed by some type of disaster.
One out of 10 homes.
That's 14.5 million homes, Jake.
14.5 million homes are damaged from some type of weather-related situation here in the United States.
Yes.
That's a tremendous increase.
Well, and then the flooding, they're predicting, a nonprofit called First Street is predicting that over the next few years, well, first of all, 99% of all counties now have some type of flooding, and 1 out of 10 homes could be damaged or destroyed by floods over the next few years. So, I mean, what we're looking at is astronomical numbers, just astronomical numbers of what can happen.
So First Street is it's a private organization that is analyzing some of these different weather trends, right? And and kind of advising. What's the difference between a company like First Street and FEMA?
Well, FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and it comes into play as soon as there is a presidentially declared disaster.
Okay.
They do other work also with infrastructure, and they work with emergency planners and that sort of thing. But when the public sees FEMA, it means that there's been a federally declared, a presidentially declared disaster. That's when they kick in. These other agencies are more, and like this is a nonprofit, First Street is a nonprofit that is analyzing the statistics and the things behind what's going on with the climate and what we're seeing as far as we're seeing an increase in the intensity and an increase in the number of different kinds of activities, whether we're talking about floods or tornadoes or extreme storms. Like just right now, we've got a winter storm coming through the Northwest and the upper central part of the United States. That's a blizzard in April. It hadn't had a blizzard in Portland in 80 years. So the extremes are what is really going to take effect, and that really infects the real estate business. The one thing I always like to point out is the fact that you might be, like I'm in Las Vegas, you might be in a state where there's not a lot of real risk, you think, but believe you me, it's affecting your tax dollars, it's affecting your bottom line. 2021 weather-related disasters was $145 billion was spent, and not counting insurance. That's just from the government agency. Those are our tax dollars that are being affected.
So that's one of the things that I like to always say to folks that I'm speaking with whenever we get into this agenda, right? We start talking about the absolute fact of the scenario. That storm happened. That flood happened. And, the cause and effect of the scenario is that we now, as homeowners across the United States of America, are dealing with it. And even if we don't believe that this is man-made or extra carbon or greenhouse effect, or if you're on that side of the fence, we're still having to go ahead and deal with it, right? So
yeah, I think that's an important point, Jake, because it doesn't matter whether it's man-made or whether it's not. The bottom line is that it's happening, and financially it is affecting every part of the world. And real estate industry is kind of at the crossroads. It's kind of because if there's a fire or there's a flood or there's a tornado in a particular area, how many real estate transactions is that affected? And on top of that, as insurance companies pull back, and in some states you have, if you don't have the FAIR program, which is backed by taxpayers, you don't have insurance. And they're talking now, reinsurers are talking about properties becoming unlivable and uninsurable. What happens to the mortgage? All of that affects the real estate industry in a direct hit.
So regarding insurance, FEMA went ahead and came out, I think, within the last 6 months with their new 2.0 models as far as flood preparedness across the United States, right? And kind of reevaluating individual homes in different areas. And I've got a report here, Connie, and then we'll bring in some other folks, but this is some of the latest about what's going on in the Bay Area. I wanted to go ahead and have on the show. Here we go.
Listen to this. 2/3 of all Bay Area homeowners who currently pay for flood insurance could see their rates go up because of rising sea levels.
Senior investigator Stephen Stock joins us with how that might affect you. Stephen.
For the first time since the flood insurance program began in 1968, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, has changed the way it calculates the risk that your home faces from possible flooding. And for the first time, FEMA will be taking into account sea level rise for that calculation. Nick Vinzant is Senior Research Analyst for Quote Wizard, a part of the online mortgage company Lending Tree.
Essentially what FEMA is doing, they are changing the way that flood insurance is priced and regulated. And they're doing that because of climate change.
Vinzant's team estimates that 157,000 California homeowners who currently pay for flood insurance, 31,000 of them living here in the Bay Area, could see their rates go up because of rising sea levels. That's 3 out of every 4 property owners who currently hold flood insurance.
It doesn't matter if you don't believe in climate change. Your insurance company does.
Under FEMA's new calculations called Risk Rating 2.0, Solis and many of her neighbors who never needed to buy flood insurance before suddenly have to, according to FEMA's new flood maps.
If you live near water, you are going to see your flood insurance go up.
So it doesn't matter if you believe or not in climate change, your insurance company does. And Nick, you've been personally affected in Tampa because of this.
Yep. And it's interesting. It just happened with a refinance. So essentially you do a refinance to lower your payment, maybe get a little cash out, and initially went into that scenario. And then right at the end of the loan, right at the end of the final paperwork, they're going, oh, wait a minute, you now have forced flood. And what intended to be a lower payment turned out to be a higher payment. And it would have been, it was good for me to refinance at the interest rate that I did, because I would have been really SOL if I didn't do the cash out refi. But it ended up adding an extra $300 a month that was completely unexpected on my cash out refi. And like I said, I just got notice from that company that they're doing some sort of liquidation. I haven't actually talked to my rep yet. I literally just got that paper in the mail last week. So it'll be interesting to see. They're promising that they're going to get me something comparable. But I think we don't really know what's going to happen.
Nick, stick around for the show close. We'll be right back with you. Thank you. Miss Connie, there, we just heard from all of these folks. You've been saying it for a while, right? And I'm sure if we had some more guests on today, it would just be a lot of the same story. But
it truly is unfortunate, but it is absolutely something that we absolutely have to pay attention to. It's not something we can put our heads in the sand and say, well, it's not going to affect me, because it is. Even if you're in a flood zone or a tornado alley or wherever, it's going to affect you in your bottom line.
well, we've seen some storms recently that have spit out some crazy hail too. I mean, it's all over the place. Miss Connie, how can people get in touch with you at CKM Solutions to go ahead and find out what you do and how they can become an advisor and help people in their local community spread awareness?
Well, they can reach out to me at, my name is Connie.Myers, CONIMEYERS, at ckmsolutionsgroup.com, or they can reach me on my cell, 503-805-6621, and we have a complete program about how they can really make a difference in their community.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Have a blessed rest of the Holy Week, and we'll see you soon.
You too. Thank you.